I think Meals on Wheels is a charity organization run by the church that caters exclusively to the underprivileged and homeless people.
They deliver foods to like people, disabled people, or like senior citizens who can't like make it to get food.
My idea of like what they do is like they go around in a car basically and give like food to people who need it, if that makes sense.
I think you guys are an organization that provides food for those in need all around the country.
I'm a dentist, so I get up and I do bookwork, and then I try and get about an hour and a half, 2 hour workout in, and then come do Meals on Wheels. Yeah, that's right. I don't work on Fridays. It's my favorite day of the week, actually, hour and a half. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I just absolutely love doing it. The people, we've gotten to know them really well. I think we've been doing this maybe 15 years, 18, something like that. My wife's my hygienist. She was asked to be on the board of Meals on Wheels. It's like, we don't have time to do that. So then we were asked if we'd take a route. And I'm thinking, yeah, we got the kids, and I've got my practice going. Well, we did it a couple times, kind of substituting, and just really enjoyed it. And so that's how we started doing it. And then I don't know how long, I just said we've had Route 8, but it's been for years and years that we've had it. It's just a relaxing time. In dentistry, you're boom, boom, boom. All day, every day. Got to do everything just right. This way you can just come and relax and do it. It's just kind of fun to work out, and you just feel so good, and then you get in the car, go do Meals on Wheels. So it's Friday mornings are a great time for me.
I don't really have a strong idea of where the food comes from, but if I had to, I would say probably charities and churches, things like that.
I have no idea where the food comes from.
I think the meals get made either inside of a church building or some kind of rec room, I guess, or some kind of random kitchen.
I'd hope it's nutritional, but I kind of like picture like cafeteria food maybe, like that kind of thing.
I would say it's healthy because, they're giving it to people in need, so they'd probably want it to be good food.
Well, I read a story, an extensive story in the Muncie paper that talked about it being prepared at the hospital.
It surrounds life, death, celebration, holidays. It's a part of life. What they put in their bodies makes a difference as to how they live their daily lives. But getting in with the hospital, there's a very structured environment. I feel very comfortable here. It's been a very important part of my life. This is our kitchen. We basically feed Meals on Wheels, St. Mary's School, patient tray line. We do around 250 to 300 meals for each service, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We also provide a cold meal for them at night. This is one of the pans of Jell-O. It's a very important part in the patient's menu because if you can't chew, but you need to take in calories, it's a great way to give you some sort of energy. As far as Meals on Wheels goes, we're trying to provide a service for people who cannot get out and provide meals for themselves. We try to keep the meals as diverse as possible, but we do deal with a lot of limitations, soft diets, dietary concerns, and I change various aspects of the menu to accommodate the different clients that we have for Meals on Wheels. Obviously, being here in Indiana, there's a lot of comfort foods that are native, tenderloins, but we tend to try to be as diverse as we can, but we do have to remember that the clientele that we are cooking for, we have to cater to them. Today we've got Italian spaghetti bake. That's pasta sauce spaghetti, green peppers, onions, and chicken. This will go in these 3 compartments, and then we'll put a lid on there. The key here is trying to get the food into the containers as quickly as possible with the lids on them to keep the heat in there. But the way we pack them, they put cardboard in between them and they put them in insulated coolers. As all this stuff is packed into these bags, once it hits these carts, Meals on Wheels takes completely over with their volunteers delivering the meals out in the community. My name is Phil Chop. I'm an executive chef at Ball Memorial Hospital and food production coordinator. I love to cook, and cooking's my life.
I'm the director of Meals on Wheels of Muncie, and I have had that job since 1997. A friend asked if I would fill in, and I never left. Teresa is my part-time staff. She has been a volunteer for about 5 years, and she has taken on the paid part-time staff, and she now works 20 hours a week. The beginning of the day always starts with taking all of the phone calls of the changes from the night before, which then we have to go and talk to dietetics in the kitchen and change the number of meals and who's getting fed. So some days we'll make as many as 8 or 10 different changes in the morning, pulling in and out meals. Some days there's only maybe 1 or 2. I have to go to Staples today, so no
Staples to get steaks.
Yeah, no pun intended. Yeah. The first volunteer I counter is the people that pack my cold bags in the morning, and that starts at 8:30, and they pack until 10, and they're doing all 130 some suppers and cold portion of the meal, which is packed separately than the hot aluminum pans. And then we get everything ready to go pack the meals, which we're start that at 10 o'clock. When we go in to set up the tray line for the hot portion of the meal, and we have several people that dish the food, someone that is crimping the meal shut, and one of my staff that's packing the meals in order. And I oversee the lid that goes on to make sure that the diet is followed with whatever their meal needs to be. And it takes until about 10:40, and then we send the meals out to the volunteers. I have 9 routes that go out around Muncie, so I see anywhere from 15 to 18 drivers each day of the week. I try to interact with them every day. Sometimes it's too busy and I can't, but we try to tell them any changes on their route, any new clients, any clients that have gone off, and that kind of thing before they head out on their route. It ends with getting everything ready for the next day. All the route sheets, all the meals, all the bags have to be labeled for the next day. We're always working 48 hours ahead. And then 24 hours ahead are the people labeled for the next day. That has to be all finished. And then any changes up until 3 or 3:30 need to be given to the kitchen with specific diet numbers to make sure that we have ordered the right amount of food. The afternoon, from 1 o'clock on, I'm in the office alone. So it's just me and taking all whatever phone calls and making the changes. And then by the time I'm done with all that, everything's done for the next day. And then we close up and start over again the next morning.
I think the meals get paid for probably by donations or charity or something like that.
From what I recollect, I think it's a combination of sources. Some of it comes from government, but a lot of it comes through private donation.
I think it's free. I think it's really free. I think they get, it's just my opinion, but I think they get donations from people in the community, and at least I'd like to think it was free.
My name's Ross Swallow, and I'm the treasurer for Meals on Wheels, and I've been part of the board for about 6 years now. I'm a certified public accountant. I work at Weidinger & Company. We're a CPA firm here in Muncie, and we do accounting, audit, and tax work for individuals and small businesses. A lot of the individuals here in our company serve on different boards around the community, and we think that's an important way for us to give back to the community that has supported us for over 80 years. We've always supplied the treasurer for Meals on Wheels, I think going all the way back to whenever the organization started back in the 70s. Part of the big role for me is at the beginning of the year to help put together a budget to figure out what can we charge our clients, what are we going to have to pay for our meals, and just developing a budget for the entire organization. The meals are not actually free for the client. We try to provide them to the client as low of a cost as we can to make it as affordable, because a lot of seniors in the community don't have the resources to pay for expensive meals. We purchase our meals from the hospital, and the hospital assembles and they package them. So the meals aren't free, but we do have, for individuals who are needy, we can reduce the price of the meal, give them a little bit of a discount to help them along. Meals on Wheels does need to have a profit in order to survive. We're not making a large amount of money, but if we lost money, Meals on Wheels would have to close down. So we have to charge a small amount to our clients in order to keep the organization running. I work most often with Susan Thomas from the organization. She is our executive director, and she's been with the organization for 15 to 20 years. So there's a lot of continuity in her position. She's really the face of the organization. She will send me invoices that need paid. We also work back and forth to obtain United Way funding. There's a routine process that we have to go through every couple of years where we report to United Way what we've done and what we plan to do, and those are some of the critical steps in order to keep the organization running. Meals on Wheels fits into my life. I do believe it's important for individuals to take some time out of their life and help to give back to their community. Especially with Meals on Wheels, we're serving the elderly members of our community. So they, have given to us over a number of years, and I think it's a great way for our volunteers and for myself to give back to those individuals who have given to us years ago. And there's a direct impact on somebody in our community that we are helping. Donations are generally sent to Susan Thomas. We're not a very large organization, so any dollar amount definitely helps us, even if it's just $5. Aside from the monetary donations, one of the most important things people can do to help is volunteer their time.
I think the volunteers make the food, help pass it out, drive it to the place, all that good stuff.
They just they go around and they volunteer to drive to the different places and deliver the meals, I guess, to the people.
The people I know take meals to people who are shut in, older people who can't get out much, and usually they'll take lunch and dinner, I believe.
My wife was a volunteer for Meals on Wheels for a while, and one thing is the food, but the other thing is the security of having somebody check on an elderly person periodically. It's a nice piece of security to be able to know that somebody's coming there. And I know when my wife did it, there would be some of the clients who would stop and talk to her for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and she knew that for some of them that may be the only contact they had with anyone all day.
My name is Elsa Reichel.
And my name is Lisa Reicheldinger.
That puts it in the proper perspective. I have been with Meals on Wheels for 40 years.
She got me involved in that. It was what was going on in our lives, and so all I knew is that's what you did. You helped deliver meals if that was what you could do. I got the chance to work in the office, got hired in, and that was just so perfect, and got to know all the drivers. And I miss it, but it's been part of my history. I got to work that side of Meals on Wheels too.
The most excitement I have is when I go off now with Meals on Wheels with Lisa. I watch her. Yeah, it was such pleasure going up to the door of a house, and she has a big smile on her face, and I just know that how much that means to some of these people who are alone all the time and don't see many people through the week. Sometimes we figure that we people delivering Meals on Wheels are the only ones they see. It's important. They know that we're coming and that there will be somebody checking in on them. The way Meals on Wheels works is they encourage us to drive two together, so that in the event that we get to a house where somebody is in stress, somebody has fallen or is sick and hasn't gotten help, we can leave one person at that house and the other drive the rest of the meal route. Meals on Wheels is not just giving the meals, absolutely not. It does have to do with helping with their welfare, just to be looking in on them, to make sure that, and to give them comfort, but knowing somebody will be checking. I did find a woman that had fallen, and we had to call help and so on. We couldn't move her, but it's not common.
You know, I do think of how we've been able to alert, saying, you know, she's kind of confused today,
Yeah,
or you know,
that's
things
true.
like that
That's
that
true.
are, I think, real helpful. That the food helps, of course, that keeps them nourished, but then the social contact's so good, keeps them on their toes to be ready for their lunches coming, and you'd be surprised at how many know you're running late today. You know, I mean, it's like it's their reason to keep. You know, it is a
Keep them
wellness
on the
circle.
ball.
There are other things involved with it. We go to one house where I was knocking, and she'd come completely put together, jewelry, makeup, hair, looking wonderful, and most pleasant lady. And I knocked one time, and the son came to the door, and he said, you know, if you don't mind, ring the bell, because Mother can hear the bell, and I want her to, you know, she wants to come get the meal. You know, even though the rest of them are around there, that's her little thing in the day, is to come. And I just thought that was so sweet, because that is her own personal. That's her meal for the day, and it's that doorbell ringing at 11 o'clock. You know, that she'll come to the door with her cane and still carries that meal back. Their lives are real good, just they need the meals to stay home and to be around without help.
It's just something that's fun to do. It's not even hard, and it's joyful for us. You know, you just feel like you've done something worthwhile to spend part of your day doing something to help somebody else.
And it's an easy enough commitment too. You know, you have to have a car, you have to be able to gas it.
Yeah.
But then it's just time, and the nice thing I think is within an hour we're done and off to lunch and ourselves, and that's doable.
Meals on Wheels. The first one that we're going to may not come to the door. He's kind of a recluse since his wife passed away several months ago. They've been trying to get him out more, and I don't think they've succeeded. So they leave one of those coolers out, the picnic coolers out on the front porch, and if it's out, we're supposed to put it in there.
We have referrals that we talk to and start every week that the first day the meal's delivered, they refuse to take it. And then we start them again and start them again. Most of the time they'll eventually agree, but not always. And really it's because they are still living at home and getting around okay, but they're just not eating. And they just really don't want to give in to that acceptance of help. In my opinion, I think they think that's the beginning of the last list of things that they'll have to do. They're living at home, but they're alone. If they accept food help, then they may have to move, or they think that that's the beginning of really having old age or having to go to assisted living, and I think that's independence is the huge issue.
I can tell you, there are people that do not like getting it because of the pressure their kids put on them to get it. They'll tell me, you know, the only reason I'm getting this is because my kids make me do it. You know, we do hear that a lot. And so I do think there are a lot of older ones that it is something about they don't want it, but they have to do it. And if they don't get it, you know, they have their kids have them do it, they just won't eat. They won't get the nutrition. So it is important from that standpoint, definitely. And some of them, I think, maybe it's their reluctance that's taking away their independence and making their own meals. And I think it bothers them that, you know, someone's having to serve them something, and maybe that's possibly why.
If you respect their space, you just realize that they're not ready to chit-chat. You know, I mean, you just have to stay sensitive to it, and if they need somebody, you're there to talk, but if not, and You know, I think that they too see it as food, and as long as they don't have to make a social visit out of it or something, you know.
Yeah.
It's never very negative. It's, you know, because it's so crucial to exist.
I do sometimes come across a client who is a little bit more guarded in signing up. Usually their family member has forced the issue. They didn't want anybody coming to their door and bothering them daily. And so they're kind of short and quick about it. But I try and change the subject by saying, gee, this is a lovely house. Have you lived here a long time? And change the subject so that you get to talk with them a little bit about something other than being forced to take this meal on wheel because my daughter said I needed it. I'd rather just not be bothered. And through the friendship, through the contact, by the second visit, there's no problem. I like all my clients, whether it's the first time or the 90th, it's always a friend. They always have a smile. They're very thankful that you're coming with food for them. And it's easy to make friendships. And I always check to see if they've got heat in the house or if it's cool in the summer, because a lot of times people don't realize, or they try and heat with their stove, and that's dangerous. So I kind of check up on them, as if you were visiting your grandmother and taking her something sweet to eat. That's the kind of concept. You go in, you say, hi, how you doing today? Everything okay? How's your hearing aids? It's more than just the meal. It's the contact with the outside world. It's the checkup on them to make sure they're okay. And once you start delivering, you always make sure that you're there to deliver. And if you're going on vacation, you make sure you're covered and everything, because you feel for your clients. It's like, would you leave your mother alone if you knew she needed help? No, you'd make sure somebody else was there. That's how we feel about our clients.
What, did you get over your illness?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I finally did.
Take
Boy,
care.
you guys, what are you doing? I'm really a crowd, huh?
You're famous.
I'm famous. What did I do that's so
I don't
great?
know. Oh, they're special because they pay their dues to society by working in some jobs. Some of them have oxygen tanks that they have to wear all the time because of the lung disease they got from the jobs they had in the foundries and things like that. This is a Vietnam veteran that's in a wheelchair. Looks good. Some of them react, and they're just glad to see somebody.
Some of them are extremely close if they've delivered to them for any length of time. Some of them are just a polite, hi, how are you, and here's your meal kind of thing. They get their lead from the client. Some clients are not interested in becoming friends with the volunteers, but probably 75% of my clients know their volunteers extremely well. Years ago, there was a client that had taken horrifically ill and was in the hospital, and it looked like she wasn't going to get out. And my drivers were leaving visibly upset because they were losing this client. And one of the sons of this lady stopped my volunteers as they were leaving the hallway because they said they knew that obviously they were distraught over their mom, but they didn't know who they were and they couldn't imagine why they didn't know them. And they explained to them that they had been their Wednesday volunteer and had delivered to her for 5 years, and this was one of their friends. And the children really had no knowledge of the connection that volunteer had had with their mom for 5 years because they don't see it.
Spend a lot of time with the grandkids. Sometimes they go on the routes with me. They love seeing the kids. They get tired of seeing this grumpy old man. Well, I had my 9-year-old grandma. She was probably 6, maybe 5 or 6. She was riding shotgun with me one time. And this older couple said, when she came to the door with the meal and everything, said, "Oh, you're a cute little girl." And of course, she just rolled her eyes like, "Yeah, I know that." And then they said, "Well, would you like to come live with us?" And I was expecting her to say, no. But she said, "Well, do you have a trampoline?" And of course, this 90-year-old couple said, "No, we don't." She said, "Do you have a boat?" "No." "Do you have a Wii?" They didn't even know what it was, and so they said no, and she just looked at them and said, oh, I can't come live with you then. This is doggy treat time. We gotta get the most important thing here. There you go.
Oh boy, look at that treat you get, Casey.
I carry doggy biscuits in case I encounter a doggy, and so they get fed too. They look forward to seeing me. They know me immediately. I don't have to worry about dogs because they're just sitting begging. The first one that I deliver to has a dog, and I always feed the dog a dog biscuit. The dog knows me, man. He's just begging and tail wagging a mile a minute. And she can't hear, so we talk very loudly, but even with speaking loudly, she has trouble hearing me. So I've learned, both of us, to use a little bit of sign language and mouthing our words very distinct. Well, the dog became arthritic. She has been my client for almost 5 years, ever since I've been delivering Meals on Wheels. The dog became arthritic and old, and just the other day she had to put him down. But her son got her a new dog. And she brought the new dog out on a leash as I was bringing the food. She says, I want to make sure he learns about you. And she had him sit while I gave him a cookie. She said, that's his first cookie. Now he'll know you'll bring him a cookie. It was delightful. She was concerned about the new dog more than she was anything else. And my being afraid, perhaps, of this new dog. And everything went well.
We're not a very large organization, so any dollar amount definitely helps us, even if it's just $5. It's making a difference, and it's making a difference right here in Muncie.
If someone would like to donate to Meals on Wheels, they can do that directly by sending donations directly to the office.
Any amount helps. If you walked in the door and dropped $1 on their desk, they'll be thrilled.
And anytime you can give some of yourself and some of your time to somebody, you get such a reward. You get double back whatever you give out in life.
If someone is even remotely interested in delivering, once they go once, they come back every time.
I talk to patients about it all the time. I try and encourage people because they need drivers.
Delivering is no problem. It's very simple. You just take something out of a container and go up to the door. It's the contact that makes it so wonderful.
It's not me, it's not the office, it's the client that they're going to on the other end.
It's just a great job. It's an easy job. Easy, easy.
It's something I can do, costs me nothing, other than some gas money. That's it.
The times you don't feel like you want to do it, maybe you're just like, oh God, it's going to be hard to put that in the day. You finish it and you sure don't have that feeling anymore.
And I'll tell you, it's the most fun hour and a half of your week.
If you like people at all, try it. You'll really get hooked.
Spend part of your day doing something to help somebody. We don't have to be very enthusiastic. We automatically are enthusiastic because we're doing it. We are doing it.